Fair, their annual meeting, hold their feet to the fire. We got a lot of people here. We're speaking to Pat Buchanan. He's going to have to go over. He's got to make an appearance on his cable news network with Comrade Chris. Does everybody have to address each other as comrade?
Some of them call each other citizens.
And you know the thing is, and czar. I always wondered. They're all calling each other. Everybody at the White House is a czar.
Exactly.
And now the New York Times is trying to explain away the fact they didn't do anything on Van Jones. He's a nobody. He's a czar. What? Tell it to the Romanovs.
He's the green jobs czar.
Right. They're saying he's number 600 on the depth chart. We didn't have time for him.
He declared himself a communist, didn't he?
Right. And he said it was white polluters who were destroying the communities of color. Yeah. And we had it coming on 9/11.
Exactly.
These are just some of his greatest hits.
Well, it's 9/11. It's like I heard him out at the convention. The guys would be out there when we're broadcasting outside. They had a bullhorn. 9/11 was an inside job. Look, would you shut up? We got a broadcast, though. Oh, for hour one guy was out there yelling at the Democratic convention.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I know. And now one of them was the czar. But now we find out the czar doesn't matter. What about this acorn stuff? Are you enjoying these acorn stories?
They went. These kids, when they want them, so a fellow's 25 years old, a gal's 20. She posing as a prostitute. He's a pimp. They're 4 for 4 now. They went into 4 centers, and every one of them was willing to help out, do the paperwork and stuff.
Right. Acorn's only defense is, they went in a couple of places and we didn't help them.
We didn't. But, the caller here has been knocking the Republicans. I really hold a lot of Republicans responsible. They've had times when they have both the presidency and the Congress. Why they haven't gone through and just cleaned all this stuff out of the federal government. I mean, if you could take $5 billion in spending for a lot of these corrupt little things have been sitting in there since the Great Society days. You could clean up an awful lot of trouble. Just get these guys out, tell them go out and get a job. You're no longer on the government payroll. But Republicans have never done it.
Can you imagine? I mean, the McCain people and the Republicans did try to make this an issue, Acorn and the voter fraud and the registering Mickey Mouse and Tom Brady and Joe Montana. But they never got anywhere. But these two, you're right, these two kids.
These two kids have got
with a video camera. And it hasn't appeared on a single network newscast except for Fox.
Well, it was this morning. I did see it on our
the Comrades.
The Comrade Hour. It was on this morning.
Morning Joe and the Comrades.
Well, that's right. But I'll tell you, they had and who was it? Joe or somebody went after? No, it was Barnacle. Barnacle went after this Republican senator. The guy down there in Alabama.
Shelby.
Yeah, Shelby. Yeah. He's a good guy. But he said, you're right. Mike says, $53 million. It's been going on since 1993. And what he's saying, in fact, aren't you guys overseeing this thing? It's a lot of money to be going out. And why do you need 2 kids to do it and to get this to the attention of the Senate and the Congress? And they've got all those investigators, and they look over all that budget stuff. Why do you need them to realize this kind of stuff is going on?
What about Charlie Gibson yesterday? He was on a radio station in Chicago with the 2 hosts, and they said, what do you think of this Acorn stuff going on? You know what he said?
What?
What are you talking about? I don't know what's worse.
It wasn't in the New York Times. How's Charlie going to spot it?
Let's take a couple more calls for Pat before he's. It's amazing, isn't it?
It is astounding. It really is.
There is something to be said about the new technology.
Well,
I mean,
listen,
this stuff never could get out.
This is the best argument I've seen for these amateur journalists who got themselves a mini cam and stuff like that and show up on the internet. And here it comes, and the ladies. Yeah. Here's how you fill out the form for the underage hookers.
Right, and the guy is dressed up like Superfly. And they still fell for it, hook, line, and sinker. Charlie, you're next with Howie Carr and Pat Buchanan. Go ahead, Charlie.
Gold's up there around $130 an ounce now.
1,000, isn't it?
It's over $1,030. Yeah, and silver's up over $17. What that's pointing to is inflation. Well, sir, you ask a very good question. You got $9 trillion in budget deficits. projected for the next 10
Well,
years.
the Chinese, you know what they think is going to happen. There's
think
just going to be
default?
massive inflation.
We're going to float out on the sea of
right.
inflation.
That's a sort of a default, isn't it?
It's that's it.
Yeah.
You either have a formal default or you float out on the sea of inflation, destroy
Right.
the value of your currency. But I don't know how you remain a great world power and do something like that. I mean, that's like the thing in 1923 in Germany. But the caller's right. I don't see how you get back down. The one thing they're going to do, I'm afraid, is they're going to go for taxes. We're spending about 27-28% of GDP at the federal level, 14-15% at the state, local level. That's 43. I mean, that's Swedish socialism, and you're still only collecting, I think, something like less than 30%. So you get that huge gap. How do you make it up? You borrow from us. You take all the savings of the country, or you borrow from the Chinese, or you run the printing press.
But Barack says, once we expand health care to all Americans, then the costs will go down.
You tell me how you're going to... They're going to put 47 million guys... 47 million guys are going to get health care, and it's going to be revenue neutral. The only way it's revenue neutral is they send the death panel out to my house.
Pat, you got to run. Unfortunately, I wish you could stick around, but we always appreciate seeing you.
I always enjoy it, Howie. It's a
next
pleasure.
book tour. When's your next book coming out?
I was working on one very early this morning, from about 1 to 4 this morning. Yeah, it's another grim tale, Howie. The world's coming to an end. This caller will help me out.
Who's killing us this time, Pat? Okay.
Okay.
Pat, thanks very much for being here. We appreciate it. And
take it easy,
see you.
Howard.
I'll see you. Thank
It's
you very
a pleasure.
much.
It's a
Okay.
pleasure.
1-877.
My best to the little Duke up. Okay.
That's Senator to you, pal. 1-877.